Florida, the Sunshine State, and as of recently, my new home. But with all that's been going on here lately and likely to happen in the near future, I'm not so sure that this will always be the case. I don't want to move and leave and have to take my family away from the beach, but there are some serious concerns that we must address. For instance, will Florida likely become the next state like New York, Virginia, California, or even Tennessee to ban Airbnb rentals and enforce new rules? I mean, this would certainly be a game changer for the rental market and potentially drive out the smart money and big institutional investors, freeing up lots of units to be made available for the actual Florida residents to have more housing options available to them and at a potentially more affordable price. And we might as well address the elephant in the room. Yes, that's right. Florida weather. I mean, love it or hate it, after a brutally hot summer, we must now brace for a weird El Nino winter. And dare I say, get ready and prepare for a white Christmas in Florida this year. Forecasters are saying that one of the most intense El Ninos ever observed could be forming, and an experimental forecast from scientists at the National Center for Atmospheric Research calls for a super El Nino by winter.
You're gonna need to move to Moscow, so...
Tell her she might want to get a coat.
Hold on.
Tell her she should get a coat.
Also, I don't know if you know Moscow, that's pretty cold. You might want to buy a coat.
And let me ask you all, what do you think? Should lawmakers vote and approve to send Florida residents cash stimulus to help with rising insurance costs? Money that would come from the state's $10 billion budget surplus. Let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah, this little mic is actually pretty powerful and does sound good. Somebody pointed that out on a recent video here that I had uploaded earlier today. And later on in the video, I want to tell you all about what Wells Fargo is doing with some shocking intel that I don't think everyone knows about just yet, and how it will have a massive impact and is sending huge warnings to the private debt market, a new team up with an unexpected partner in lending services with ties to middle market companies. And all I ask is that you hit that like button if you enjoy my videos and the valuable information and breaking news that I share with you all, my family. Because that's what I tell everybody when they see me out and walking around recording videos all the time. People they ask me, they say, Kevin, what are you doing? And I tell them, I'm making another video to share with my YouTube family. So thank you all for your continued support. Now let's talk about the latest that I just read about how Florida has now overtaken New York as the nation's second most valuable housing market. And since Florida just surpassed New York as the second most valuable housing market in the United States, according to the latest research from Zillow, with its residential property values increasing by $160 billion over a one-year period starting in June of 2022, a shift that's attributed to increased demand to live in Florida following the COVID-19 pandemic, prompting a migration of residents from states with high taxes, rising crime rates, and stringent lockdown measures. And meanwhile, California retains its position as the most expensive residential real estate market, despite a 3.3% decrease in property values since June of the previous year. While back in Florida, Miami's real estate market has seen an 8.6% increase in residential property values, propelling it into the top 5 metropolitan areas in terms of housing stock value. And New York City remains the leader in real estate value, followed by Los Angeles and then San Francisco. But despite all that, Florida continues to face a prolonged affordability crisis despite rent costs somewhat stabilizing. And a recent study by Florida Atlantic University suggests that while the rise in rent costs in Florida has stabilized, an affordability crisis persists due to low housing inventory and a growing population. And that rent growth across the state has returned to normal, with most metro areas experiencing rent increases at or below the national average. However, other rents remain high, making it challenging for the typical renter to afford housing since incomes have not kept pace. The study indicates that renters in Florida may not see relief until enough housing is built to meet the high demand and address the low supply. And the state's vibrant economic base is expected to continue drawing people in, potentially preventing rents from falling at all. Oh, and I meant to ask y'all, do you want me to include more information about topics like the latest articles that I've been reading from Business Insider and Markets Insider that help me make better money savings and investment decisions, like the latest report on hedge funds ramping up bets against U.S. stocks just as a key leverage gauge falls at the fastest rate since the 2020 crash? Now, I find these articles and information to be very helpful and informative, giving me tons of value and allowing me to make more money overall and further improve my investment decisions and portfolio positions. And these hedge funds that I am closely watching are adopting a bearish stance on U.S. stocks following the Federal Reserve's indication of keeping interest rates higher for an extended period. Plus, the managers have significantly reduced their net leverage, marking the largest weekly decline since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, all while the Fed's decision to maintain steady rates and signal a prolonged high-rate period has contributed to an equity sell-off. With the S&P 500 down approximately 4% this month, heading for its worst monthly performance in 2022 and its second consecutive month of losses, which basically means that this has led to concerns about the U.S. economy's future, with experts expressing caution about potential troubles ahead. Troubles ahead, like this storm that's coming in and moving in quickly over me, but I got to get this video put together for you guys. I don't want you to miss out on this information. And simply put, the long and short of it is that hedge funds are increasingly betting against stocks and shedding leverage, and their net leverage saw the biggest weekly decline since the old pandemic era lows in 2020. So look for the bearish bets to come, as the Fed indicated last week that interest rates will stay higher for longer. And I know this may not be what you typically watch or discuss, but if these topics interest you and others like getting started investing for beginners, just let me know. And make sure you click the link in the description to get your free stocks from Moomoo. I mean, that is unless you don't like free money. And like I had mentioned briefly before, I'm also watching and monitoring the rapid changes to business and small business and side hustle opportunities, especially those tied to real estate and assets and investment properties that have drawn so many to Airbnb and Verbo, VRBO, and Vacasa. Short-term rental, cash flow producing, passive income homes, townhomes, townhouses, condos, and just flat out raw land that can bring in thousands of dollars just by renting it out to campers. And the latest on changes that will likely soon head to the great state of Florida for debate and updated legislature like we have been seeing here recently. And granted, this is a story coming out of Tennessee, but nonetheless a nationwide event. And in a first for Tennessee, the state's Supreme Court is set to address a case involving short-term rentals, particularly those facilitated through platforms like Airbnb and VRBO. And the case involves a homeowner and his homeowners association, or his HOA, in a lake resort community where the HOA tried to retroactively prevent the homeowner from renting his property on a short-term basis. And the outcome of this case could set a precedent for similar disputes in Tennessee, where homeowners and HOAs often spar over rental rules, especially in the context of online platforms for short-term rentals. And here, take a look at this.
My State of the Union address outlined our fight against junk fees, to end junk fees. These hidden charges that companies sneak into your bill to make you pay more without you really knowing it initially. Junk fees are not a matter for the wealthy very much, but they're a matter for working folks like the homes I grew up in. And they can add hundreds of dollars a month and make it harder for families to pay their bills. I think it's just wrong. The companies represented here today are voluntarily committing to all-in upfront pricing. Some of them have used this process for years to sell tickets, events like TickPick, Dice, and Newport Festival Foundation. Tens of millions of fans have already benefited from their decision. Others, like Airbnb, have started giving customers the option of seeing all-in prices since we called for action last year. And other businesses are committing today. Starting in September, Live Nation will automatically list all the prices up front for all tickets to events at more than 200 venues of its own, benefiting over 30 million customers. These are just the latest private sector leaders who are responding to my call for action, and I'm asking their competitors to follow suit and adopt an all-in upfront pricing as well. This is a win for consumers, in my view, and proof that our crackdown on junk fees has real momentum. This is real transparency, which leads to more competition, brings down costs for working Americans, keeps growing our economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down.
Now, I don't know about you guys, but that's something I can get behind. No more junk fees and more transparent pricing. How about you all? What do you think? Are you tired of getting tricked into paying more for literally almost everything? Hey guys, so if you're still watching at this point, please hit the join button and connect with us and become part of our community. And so as a channel member, you will gain access to exclusive perks, members only content, members only live streams, and giveaways. Plus, you get really cool additions to your YouTube username so that everybody knows you are part of the family and a supporter of the channel and the truth. And like I had mentioned earlier, we have some important news to discuss coming out of one of Wall Street's biggest banks, and one we often hear lots of negative stories about in the news. So Wells Fargo, New York Stock Exchange, ticker symbol WFC, eyes private debt market and teams up with Centerbridge. And the story highlights are that Wells Fargo has partnered with private equity firm Centerbridge Partners to provide direct lending services to middle market companies in North America. And the newly formed collaboration aims to establish a business development entity named Overland Advisors, of which are focused on offering private credit and direct lending solutions. And get this, Overland Advisors plans to secure at least $5 billion in investable capital, including $2.5 billion in equity commitments, with anchor investors providing a significant portion of the initial equity commitments. And additionally, Wells Fargo will also make an equity investment and offer loans to its middle market customer base as an alternative financing solution. And I honestly think that this move aligns with the growing trend of banks expanding into the private credit sector, which in a way is providing more access to capital, and at a time when people could really use it the most. And for states like Florida, where State Representative Javante Edmonds of Palm Beach County, Florida, has proposed a plan to address rising insurance costs in his proposed plan known as House Bill 41, which would establish a grant program to provide financial assistance to Florida residents struggling with the extremely high and rising costs. And the proposed grants would be $2,500 for individuals aged 65 and older, and $1,500 for those younger individuals. The funds could be used to cover homeowners insurance, car insurance, or mortgage payments, and the money for the program would come from the state's $10 billion budget surplus. As of the time of me recording this video, the level of support for this bill is uncertain, but if passed, the grant program would not be established until midsummer of the following year. So, no matter what, we will have to get ready and prepare to survive a long and cold and possibly very harsh winter, figuratively and literally speaking, because after an extremely hot summer, we just have to get ready and begin to brace for an unusual El Nino influenced winter in Florida and across the entire United States. And they're saying that the ongoing El Nino year may disrupt traditional winter weather patterns similarly to how it affected the summer, and that during an El Nino winter, the jet stream typically shifts south, resulting in wetter and cooler weather in the south, while northern states experience drier and warmer conditions. The upcoming 2023 and 2024 El Nino is expected to be stronger than the 2018-2019 one, and the National Weather Service's Climate Prediction Center suggests a 71% chance of a strong El Nino. So make sure you have plenty of everything that you need to get through this one, folks. Firewood, gas, diesel, kerosene, propane, LNG, fuel, basically, food, water, bourbon, maple syrup, because yes, this could bring relief to areas in the South affected by the scorching summer in drought-stricken regions like Texas and Louisiana. However, it might pose challenges for ski resorts in the Rockies and parts of the Midwest also facing drought conditions. The potential impacts of a winter El Nino usually begin in late fall and last through early spring, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's 3-month winter forecast anticipates warmer temperatures in the northern half of the country and wetter conditions in the southeastern and parts of the eastern coast, potentially affecting traditional expectations of a white Christmas in the South. And scientists from the National Center for Atmospheric Research suggests that a super El Nino, potentially one of the most intense ever observed, could develop by winter. And this climate pattern may bring about deadly fires, droughts, heat waves, floods, and mudslides. So the El Nino is occurring alongside a significant global temperature surge, which is amplifying the likelihood of extreme heat waves and floods. And although it's challenging to predict the precise impacts of this El Nino, given variations among El Nino events and the complex relationships between human-induced planetary warming and El Nino, the rising temperatures may enhance El Nino's capacity to cause heavy rainfall in certain regions. And there are climate models that have hinted at the potential for this intense El Nino to again trigger floods, heat waves, and droughts. And the El Nino pattern involves a warm surge in the surface waters along the equator in the Pacific Ocean, influencing global weather. And despite the high likelihood of a strong El Nino, predicting its specific weather impacts remains extremely difficult, with history reminding us of past super El Nino events that have caused severe environmental and climate effects. And so this forthcoming El Nino might bring a similar winter. Please, folks, get ready. Please get ready, folks. And there's ongoing research that they say is aimed at improving our understanding of the links between El Nino, global warming, and its impacts, with a focus on better predicting weather and climate phenomena over the coming years. But as for right now, this is the best we got. And remember, folks, please hit the join button and connect with us and become a part of the community. And as a channel member, don't forget, you will get access to exclusive perks, members only content, members only live streams, and giveaways. Plus, you get really cool additions to your YouTube username so that everyone knows you're a part of the family and a supporter of the channel and the truth. Thank you all for watching, liking, and sharing my videos. As always, stay safe, stay informed, and stay tuned. I will be back soon with another informative update. Until then, take care. Bye for now.